Can you explain that for our listeners, what the reptile theory is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very interesting theory by the plaintiff's lawyers, and they try to get in to evidence before a jury. Well, this case is going to impact humanity. It's so important that you do things that will impact things way beyond this case and the people involved in this case. So this makes this so much more important than just the case at hand. And it's grown. Now, a lot of times the judges won't allow a lot of type of evidence coming in because it can, how do you want to say this, like spoil a jury to start thinking.
So we're here again for another episode of the Trustcast Show, and I'm really happy to have with us Paul Schrieffer. He's got a really interesting background. So let me read you the bio that I wrote out for him. Paul Schrieffer is the lawyer Lloyds of London calls when a massive concert gets canceled or a celebrity lawsuit explodes. His case list reads like a backstage pass. Michael Jackson's This Is It tour, Taylor Swift, Madonna, Foo Fighters, Kim Kardashian, and NBC Universal. And I had to compress that list to get everything in. He founded PK Schrieffer LLP nearly 3 decades ago and has quietly become one of the go-to trial lawyers where the insurance world meets the entertainment industry. Okay, opening question. When Michael Jackson died weeks before his 50-show London residency, and AEG filed a $17.5 million insurance claim, you were attorney for Lloyds of London. That's who they put on the case. What was the first 48 hours like?
Well, one, good to meet you. Glad to be with you and the great team there, and happy to give you the information that I can. As far as the MJ, as we called him, it was diving right in as fast as possible just to get the facts and the information to give advice to London. I'm not waiving any privilege here, obviously. And London made the decision to get on autopsy of Michael Jackson. So I reached out to one of the best top dog doctors on the East Coast. He flew out to LA and did the autopsy of Michael Jackson. I believe it was within 3 days of his unfortunate passing. And that was the beginning on the insurance side of the house for the story. And it was quite an interesting run, one may say.
So I read the story, and I think it's really it's fascinating. Give a thumbnail sketch of exactly what happened, because to me, I read through it, and I think it's just really an interesting case, the whole situation.
Yeah, of course, happy to. One of the first things we did was to serve demands for production of documents just to get some of the foundation that we would need to take appropriate depositions after we got in and started the case. We served subpoenas on MJ's former doctors and other potential witnesses. That was after a large demand was made, and without, again, waiving any privilege, but there was a significant issue regarding coverage under the policy. I believe, I may be wrong, I don't believe so though. London policy was something at or about 20 million US dollars. So there was a lot of coin out there at hand. They had a great group of lawyers that were there,
and who was going to get that money if they were successful, which they weren't. But who was going to? Oh, I spilled the beans. Darn it! I should have let you go ahead.
Oh, of course, that's okay. This is the open chat, like a what I like to call it, a round table. And we
Yeah.
just
So
we
who
just
was
talked.
making the claim for that money? Because
It
Michael's
was the
gone, and it
family.
was the family. Yep.
Yeah. And they were named as potential folks to get the insurance, whether and to what degree MJ was not, quote, available, end quote, to recover that, with the assumption that it was recoverable, which, in my opinion, it's not. Um, so, anyway, we started doing the depositions, getting the appropriate documents. Like I said, great lawyers against us. So we went into the courtroom a lot. So got to know the court clerks and staff and amazing officers there in the courtroom and the great judge that we had, and getting to know those people that are working extremely hard. They're not working from home. They get up early every single day. They go into the courtroom, and then some people just think, all right, I'm getting a lazy butt. I'm just going to look on a video, sit in my office or on my sofa in my house. I don't have to drive into the courtroom, but I like to be in the courtroom, give respect to the people, hardworking people that are there and working for us. You know, we
And
the
and,
people.
and what were they? What was the claim that they said, okay, Michael couldn't make it, and we had this insurance policy said that if he couldn't make it, that we'd get the money because we obviously are on the hook for a bunch of money to the events and so forth. So we need that money to pay them off, and we couldn't make it, and we had the policy, and so you guys just pay up. And then you said to them, basically, I mean, in the court case, your defense of the insurance company revolved around, and I'll let you fill in the blanks.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for the introduction, Ish. I was kidding there. So, our point was diving in, looking for the actual cause of death here. Why did MJ unfortunately pass? I need to be careful about whether and to what degree I can dive too deep into this, but one of the exclusions under the policy is related to death by taking certain types of things into one's body, one may say. So, yeah, I had the autopsy done and then dove into the depositions of doctors and many other people that were in communication verbally and physically as the tour and event was being set up, and also historically what was going in the history of him, to show that he is a common practice thereof of doing the things, how shall I say this, putting certain things into him, into his body, one may say.
Well, I know
So
that you're kind of bound, but a lot of this, of course, is out there, so to speak. Everybody knows after the fact anyway, but just trying to get a good handle on that case, and it was fascinating to read. And so ultimately,
right, I can explain kind of how that went. We filed what we call, as you know what it is, a motion for summary judgment, wherein the court makes a ruling, and as we call it, 12 in the box, the jury does not. The judge makes a determination that the facts and the evidence of law, there's no trying issue of material facts.
mm-hmm.
And that means there's something here factually, like A is fighting against B, and there's the jury need to find out what the actual truth there is of them fighting. And under these circumstances, we filed with underwriters' consent to file so, and walked into the courtroom to argue this thing. They had a ton of lawyers in there and all that stuff. 3 people from London flew out for the motion to hear that. I talked to some of the London folks, and I said to them, why don't I have a chat with this fella before I go ahead and argue this thing. And London said, do it. I said, fine. I had a nickname for him, Grandpa. I said, hey, Grandpa, let's go have a chat real quick before we're going to argue this thing. You good? He said, all right. So we did.
Was this
Great.
opposing counsel? That wasn't the judge you were calling Grandpa, right? Or was it?
I plead the fifth. No, I'm kidding. That was opposing counsel.
Okay.
He was a great lawyer, but I did
Right.
give him the nickname of Grandpa.
He was experienced.
Yeah, he did. Well said by you, finally. And yeah, he and I had a chat. I walked out of the courtroom and got out there, started chitty chat, and we went. I think their demand was like over 100 million, and we ended up done for, I don't know, something like the two 2 million, something like that. And the expense just going forward, with the assumption we were going to lose on the motion for summary judgment, it would go to a jury, all the expert expenses and witnesses. I mean, everything else. Yeah, it's going to be way over the amount that.
So it was a
we got
nuisance
done for.
settlement in essence. And for
Pretty
them, they
much.
knew they knew they didn't have a case, but they were going to duke it out. So you were able to reason with this grandpa.
Correct. I love grandpas, no offense to grandmas. I think grandpas are pretty good, actually. All right, long story short, again, I was trying another case. I think it was like a year later in the same courthouse, same floor that the MJ case was. And our MJ judge walked out of his chambers, saw me, and they give me the nickname Schrieffer for Schrieffer. Schrief said, hey, Schrief. I said, hey, great to see you, Your Honor. And we joked around, whatever. And then judge said, you want to know what I would have ruled on the Michael Jackson case on your motion for summary judgment? I thought, yeah, go ahead. He said, well, I would have granted the whole thing. So I said, it.
He wanted to stick you.
Yes, because we paid the coin.
Yeah.
Thought we would have won, but from a family standpoint too, they had the coin to take it up in the Court of Appeal, and who knows could have happened.
Right.
And we're downtown LA, and verdicts can be, and who the amazingness of MJ was, and I believe still is. That could have gone into nutty town as far as the jury verdicts. You probably know they have those runaway juries and verdicts. I think there's one down in Texas. It was 9.5-ish billion. That's called a B in the verdict, and it was an old lady that got ran over by a massive truck for a big company in United States, and the jury just went nuts. The sanctions in that case were, I believe, 7 different matters of sanctions against the lawyers, and the lawyers, guess what they did? They got in a fight, a fictional fight. And not to bore you too much more, but one of the things, I believe, and I tell my young lawyers now, don't get into this whole emotional thing. Have a good relationship with opposing counsel. You can do it, right? And when I tell my lawyers, we are, experts at what we do. And back in the olden days, in the streets, they would just punch each other up and all that. But now you go into a courtroom and you try a case. It's like getting into a boxing ring. You're going to try to destroy you each in the courtroom? Yes. Can you go have lunch and dinner together and hang out? after the case? Yes. So I have some of my best friends, or great friends anyway, that are some of the top dog opposing counsels that I've tried cases against.
So
And
we have so many. We have so many in today's society. There's so much. I've been triggered by this. I've been triggered by that. That's going on. That what you're presenting is the exact opposite of that. I mean, I understand and I completely agree. But how do you, with younger people who are coming in that have been raised with that sort of mentality, how do you train them to be non-emotional?
I try to give them examples of how things have worked. Um, Not only trying cases against lawyers that can be, can be tough stuff to deal with there, cross-examining witnesses and all that stuff with opposing counsel, and you get tough against each other, and you have life outside of the quote ring, end quote, meaning outside of the courtroom and the case. Have those good relationships, because those big relationships, one, it's great. You made good friends out of the boxing ring thing. I keep saying that same thing, but it's kind of similar. And then two, you have respect, hopefully, from people in the courtroom, the judges and clerks and police officers, who are all of extreme importance. And I'll give you an example. So I was in a case after opposing counsel questioned my witness, whatever. And I said to him, "Oh, by the way, I have some of these extra ones. Would you like one?" He said, "Well, what is it?" So I gave him a piece of bubble gum, and guess what he started literally yelling about in front of the jury? Bubble gum. So, guess what was on counsel's table the next morning?
Another piece of.
A whole box of it. It was for kindness. Let's be clear here.
So
Kindness.
So really, if someone is not in control of their emotions, that could you can use that against them, because that really changes the outcome of the trial potentially.
1,000,000,000%. I've had trials where uh, she was getting so emotional, so upset on cross of one of my experts. And I said to her, or no, sorry, I said to the judge, Your Honor, I think we might need to take an ambulance for her right now. She's getting kind of out there. And just said, well, we'll see if I need to call a doctor. And like you're saying, I mean, they get, emotional and all that. And me and one of the top trial lawyers, Brian Panish, Panash, after we cross the other guy's witnesses, we'd walk back to counsel table in front of each other. So we flip each other off, And the judge finally said, "Counsel, get over here." By sidebar, and he said, "Stop flipping each other off in my courtroom." And I said something like, "I know, he keeps doing that. It's extremely upsetting to me." And the judge said, "Shut up, you're doing it too. I can see it." And I said something like, "Dang it." But my point being, I'm, joking a little bit with the judge and stuff like that. And, we're all human beings, good relationships that we can have. And yes, even in 2026, we can have good relationship with people. That's a little more broad than just practice of law stuff, but I think we kind of can.
I think so too, and have opposite views on things and still have good relations. So here, there was something in here that really caught my eye. It was about Ransom, that you've done some work in Ransom. types of cases. Can you talk about that? I mean, I don't know whether you can or not, but I ran across that somewhere. Now, see, my notes are. I mean, there's so much stuff in your resume. I just couldn't
It's
pick.
amazing. Yeah, amazing what artificial intelligence will do.
It's great.
Kidding, but maybe.
Either that or an assistant who works really hard.
There you go. Yeah, I'm doing seminars now on AI, artificial intelligence in litigation, trials, and how the insurance group are using AI, and then how people need to be careful about AI, how broad AI is, and whether and to what degree you are required to disclose the use of AI. And states are different law on that. You know, you got to be careful about that. And going into a courtroom, certain judges have extreme limitations on the use of AI, and other judges say, fire away, as long as there's disclosure. Anyway, my point being that it is the key thing is disclosure of the use thereof, and see how it goes. It is quite a lot of fun deposing witnesses and their use or non-use of AI, and I'm just waiting to depose an AI.
That's coming.
I should have asked you that. Are you an AI right now?
Sometimes I feel like it. So
There
tell me
you
about
go.
tell me about Ransom. Did you actually? I mean, you it was somewhere in there. Have you actually
Yes.
had been involved in more than or even just one sort of ransom situation? And so, what's your opinion about the Nancy Guthrie thing that's going on, or do you have one?
I do. And it's a very sad situation for anyone that knows anything about it. And her just being lost and gone, away for right now, whether and to what degree she's home in a different place, you know, if she passed or not, nobody knows it. And certainly our government, state and federal, appear, at least from what I've seen and heard, are all over it, and they can't allegedly find her. Who's got her somewhere? Quite mysterious, that whole thing. I think the demand on it right now, we are at March 4th, 2026. Demand is 1 million.
Well, there is a demand out there supposedly,
Yep.
but how would you even deliver it?
Yeah, well, that's all another good question from you finally. It's
Thank you.
it's yeah, you know what? You're kind of welcome. A little bit. I'll get back to you on the welcomeness level. Anyway, the delivery side, yeah, it's been through, at least initially, a fella that does reporting for the industry, like news and movies and things like that. And it's gone through him. He's been like a third person in the middle, doing that type of communication. I don't know whether and to what degree there is communications directly with the family. From what I've not heard that there has been, nor any direct communications with any state or federal government officers. Nothing. So, from what I've heard, it's been through that one fella.
So your other ransom case that or cases that you've worked on, anything you want to share about those? What I mean, there's probably not. I say what generally happens, but there is no generally happens in that sort of case. Or anything you want to share
Totally
about any of
true.
those cases?
Totally true. And they are actually negotiable. You know, you can get to that point and actually negotiate with these folks. Some people say, no, don't ever do that. But it's actually possible to do it. As long as they think they're getting there right away thing. And I've negotiated the timing thereof of the funds going to those quote folks, end quote. And I'll say, yeah, it'll be a lot quicker if you drop it by about 18% of your demand, and then we negotiate back and forth. I think the last one ended up, they went down like 10%, something like that. Ended up settling out for, it was like 2.5 million, something along there.
And what happens in the end? I mean, how many of those cases get resolved favorably versus the other option?
Yeah, most of them get just done, settled, and over with. Sometimes there's going to be a big fight up front to get better information about the folks that have taken whoever that individual is. The more they think, oh my goodness, that I'm actually going to get caught here. I got to dump this thing down now. I got to move on to my next I hate to say it, victim. But yeah, and we have investigation and all that stuff, cooperate extensively with the police and government officials on that stuff.
Have you, is it your belief that you said on to their next Vic? Are there serial kidnappers? Are they in the U.S. or, I mean, within the U.S.?
I believe so, yes. That's not only what they do for a quote living, end quote, but they also do it because they're alone. And that's something they are almost quasi. I'm not an expert in this as far as if it's an addiction or not, but that's what they want to do. And a little on that, they like to have things now. It's so different than it used to be. They want this now in the media. They want this online. They want to, have that out there. The people that are taking the victims, though, they're not putting themselves names-wise out there. But when they see what's happening out there, then, they'll talk to their other, quote, buddies, end quote. And that's a whole thing.
You mean like a vicarious, the psychological part of that power over the entire situation, the media, the person, that's part of the psyche. So you've represented both sides of it. You've represented the insurance company. So you do a lot of insurance work with, but you've represented both like NBC Universal, Universal Studios, Hollywood, and then you've represented the insurance companies. What's it like, balancing that, and what percentage of your work comes from what side?
Yeah, I would say insurance largely now. I've been asked to jump in as trial counsel on some relatively big plaintiff side of the case of the house, but because we're doing the insurance side, defense side, we're more staying on that side for now. That's kind of what we do, my team does. And
so cyber tech insurance is one of the fastest growing areas in the London market coverage. What types of claims are you seeing now that didn't exist 5 years ago?
Good question. I'm dealing with claims involving AI now, and have some relationship to cyber as well. And London, without saying who it is, but London has me drafting, redrafting, and creating actual policy wording related to AI. Some of the wording I look at is a little old here, fellas. Been at the pub too long, but Yeah, and doing the actual wording, drafting of it, creating of it, exclusions, saying anything arising from the reliance upon, AI, that can be excluded, but there's also wording that I've created or written with sort of a little sidebar. If you want to purchase AI cover, it's going to cost you XYZ more money on top of your premium now.
And so these premiums would be for for someone in the entertainment business. I mean, you're selling the insurance, or you're not, but you're advising on the back end legalese for insurance policies that would be granted to people primarily in the entertainment business.
A lot of them, yes. Also do malpractice stuff for lawyers, doctors, insurance brokers, and that's all going to be arising from their actions or inactions regarding many type of things. Certainly in the movie studios and all that type of stuff, but other things too.
So you said you're working on something in AI. Was it a product or a software? We just kind of were. I just remember that kind of resonating in the back of my mind. You said something about AI.
No worries. Yeah, it's the reliance upon the quote advice end quote of AI. Based upon that advice, they violated their duty of care, caused damages to another party, and they ended up getting sued. And then the AI that had given the quote advice upon which they relied upon, the company owning the AI got sued, but the wording of the use of the AI basically is like a quasi waiver of any claims against. I mean, as you'd imagine they do, give it a shot. I'm fighting.
Give it a shot, yeah.
Why
Give it a
not?
shot.
You're never going to win unless you try.
If you use our product for what it's intended for, we disclaim any liability. Something like that.
Quite interesting you said that. Let me give that a thought right now. What are you writing stuff now?
Although you'd write it in such a way that no one would ever understand it.
Yeah, I use gobbledygook.
So let me see. I have so many questions here. So you presented a seminar on the reptile theory. Can you talk about that, and then about how that works, and how real is the threat of a plaintiff's attorneys using this strategy, and how do you counter it?
Yeah, that's been a long time ago, I think. I'm not sure what the actual current law is on that right now. But it is interesting stuff. I've dealt with the plaintiff's lawyers a lot on that theory. And, a lot of folks just don't believe what the whole theory is.
Can you explain that for our listeners, what the reptile theory is?
Yeah, absolutely. It is related to certain types of harm and damage. That's a very interesting theory by the plaintiff's lawyers, and they try to get in to evidence before a jury. Well, this case is going to impact humanity. It's so important that you do things that will impact things way beyond this case and the people involved in this case. So this makes this so much more important than just the case at hand. And and it's grown. Now, a lot of times the judges won't allow a lot of type of evidence coming in because it can, how do you want to say this, like spoil a jury to start thinking much bigger than the case at hand as it should be. And they get these crazy runaway verdicts, because they're thinking, oh, now I'm going to do this for humanity.
As opposed to hinging on the facts.
Facts, evidence, and law right there. And, it's a legal strategy that plaintiffs' lawyers have done and are doing. And it gets the jurors, gets them going into their instincts about safety, to secure larger verdicts by the jury framing on the defendant's actions as threats to the community and to humanity. Like, for an example, let's say there's some big trucking company. Well, they have these truckers driving around everywhere, and if you do this big verdict here, it will impact them. It will save millions of people and blah, blah, blah. Things like that.
Right.
And they just get them way out there, Like you're saying, they get away from the facts a lot.
So I got rapid fire questions for you. These are just more fun. Well, some people would say that they're not fun, but I say they're fun. So, courtroom or arbitration table, where do you feel more at home?
It's a interesting question. Could I have a 10-minute break? Because I feel like I'm gonna cry. Not. No, I like being in a courtroom in front of a jury. I mean, no offense to arbitrators, but I like doing that. Still, if you're dealing with it and trying stuff and you're having a little fist fight with opposing counsel in a professional way, and you're a competitive person. This fella is. I'm sure you are too.
Yep. So, most memorable celebrity deposition you've ever been a part of that you can talk about?
That I recall at this time.
Yes, that you recall.
So anyway, yeah, Kim Kardashian.
Anything else you want to say about that, or is that enough?
Hey, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Okay. One thing people misunderstand about insurance defense lawyers.
I think maybe sometimes the other side will think that they're not really that great. They're not going to be that great in front of a jury. They're just kind of boring ladies and gentlemen that will just stand up there like this. No. What did you say? Oh yeah. Let me get back to my next question. Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be back. They think they're like that. Not like the people that are going to walk around the courtroom. They're going to have this thing. Screw that. They're going to walk around and let it rip as it's going. And ton of cases I've tried. I have a great team. We work and plan together, blah, blah, blah. And I'll have a lot of questioning things or key things to deal with. But, when I'm cross-examining a witness, I'm kind of walking around the courtroom doing that, pointing and all that kind of stuff. I'm not looking at squat. I don't even know what squat really is, though. Do you?
No, and I don't know how you look at it anyway, but I do. I am familiar with that term. So when you're walking around, so now I just thought of another question because I always get off track. But
that's all right.
When you're walking around the court and you're asking these questions, how much planning goes into looking like you're just thinking of stuff on the fly?
Yeah, great point. Because I prepped and all that, I have a lot of things just there, key points like that. But based on what the witness is saying in response, it can be just verbally, but also I like having stuff up in front of a jury screen that they can see. Best thing I like is having the video running. They're kind of looking at it. I can question them as the video's going. A lot of times there'll be an objection to that. They need to be separate, blah, 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 but sometimes not. And then the witnesses will say something that's kind of different, and it's almost like, now we got it. And that's not on the questioning list or any of the real evidence. It's something that the witness said. And I'd be thinking, like, dude, you just opened the gold medal there, and here I come, on cross examination and things like that.
So it's half of it is prep, but then the other half is just listening to what they're saying.
100%. And keeping an mind about what things can happen in the courtroom too. You're not just stuck with what's on the paper there, and keep it open and going. And when you keep it wide open like that, stuff's gonna be flying, and you get this stuff, and it's awesome. Real quick, I had one case, wrongful death trial or something like that. And there were some numbers that were seen and blah, blah, blah. And grandma said, well, she could see those numbers from 150 feet away. And I thought, her eyeballs ain't that good. So at the lunch break, I had my guy get a rope 150 feet long. I had the size of what those letters or numbers were, like that. And I walked all the way out to the end of the courtroom, and I asked her, could you please read to our amazing jury those numbers? And take your time if you need to do it. Go ahead, ma'am. I can't see them. Well, didn't you just tell us all in the courtroom that you actually did? Maybe, do you want to kind of change your prior answer to my question? Yes. But anyway.
So that was the end of that.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think after that I said something like, no further questions, Your Honor. And same thing with opening statements. As you know, in the beginning of a trial, each side usually gets to say an opening statement. It's not argumentative, like a closing argument can be. It's more just open what are the facts and the applicable law potentially. And one of the funnest one was a trial for Universal Studios, and opposing counsel did his opening. It came for me to do, this nut job to do the opening, and I decided, all right, I'm going to do it like this. This is either going to go really good or really bad. So I got up. I said, well, Your Honor, I don't know whether and to what degree you and the jury remember this movie called My Cousin Vinny. I have no other questions for this. I will not call him a dipshit. And then I sat down. I thought, well, I'm going to get sanctioned or something. And the judges started laughing, and the jury clapped. And it was pretty good. Is that My Cousin Vinny thing?
That would seem like something that could absolutely blow up.
Correct.
So,
I took a shot.
London or Los Angeles? Where would you rather try a case?
That's a great question. Both. I'll try the oh, here we go. I will try the liability case Why not? If it's going to be both, I'll try liability, LA. I'll try damages in London. And I have a 1 week trip thereafter in London. Some of my best friends are in London. Great people there. You know, I've spent a lot of time in London other than prison.
Are you asking me?
Yeah,
No, 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 just the prison time.
just the prison time that I recall at this time.
So, shoes that fit. Tell me what
Yeah.
organization. Tell me what that organization means to you in one sentence.
Shoes that fit. I think I may be wrong on this one. Yes.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm pulling up for something from too long ago.
that's probably it.
Yeah.
Probably, I think it was a donation type thing. I might be wrong.
Okay, so we'll skip over that one. So, there's so many different things on here. We could probably spend an hour on each one of these. Represented Lloyds against San Diego Padres baseball club in San Diego litigation. What was that about?
That was about, I think it was a cancellation. And then they got in trouble about I think it was the stadium was not kept in the right way and was a potential dangerous condition. They had to cancel the game. They had to refund things and all that. That was an interesting one.
I bet. So that's it, though. So
Yeah,
what was
pretty much. It wasn't all that exciting. It wasn't like deposing Kim Kardashian or doing Michael Jackson litigation or I also deposed Kanye West. Boy, he is an extremely intelligent person, and his memory is mind blowing. My dad had this memory. Like, where was he in 1955 having lunch at 12:30? He remembered every single person that was there, what they were wearing, and what they ordered for lunch. Literally, he won the Nobel Prize in physics.
Oh, your
So,
dad.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, Kanye, he had that. I mean,
Identical kind of memory.
Yeah, extreme. I mean, it's incredible. When I was, yeah, deposing him, and good guy, Christian man, grew up like that. His mother was very involved in the church, but he was a really, really good person.
Yeah, he seems like a really good guy, kind of eccentric, but a
Yes.
really decent individual.
Yes, and a lot of people, at least in my view, I'm no expert in this, but in my experience, a lot of people that have those kind of levels of things that are, different, like that memory and level of brilliance, they are kind of eccentric. They're not like the normal people. Now in 2026, the definition of normalcy, that may be offensive to someone who's not normal.
So tell me, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, so you're taking on new clients, or where do you see this going in the next 5 years, 10 years? What do you want to be happening at your firm?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be opening up an office in Florida, Orlando, Florida, and also my plan is to open up one in Texas. And
Okay,
do it.
all growth areas.
And do it. Yep, grow. The only limitations for us are ourselves.
So, how difficult is it to find new associates to bring them into the practice? And are you looking for people who already have a book of business when they come in, or is it kind of an assortment of both, younger under attorneys and more experienced attorneys?
it's a little bit of both, but it's mostly the younger attorneys that got brought along that are really strong. You know, one of the things, at least for me, in starting the firm and all the way up till now, is just we're strong at what we do. You know, I tell clients, potential clients, if you want somebody to be a kind of a, I'm not bragging, but if you want somebody to be a little wimpy and stuff, don't hire me. I'm the wrong guy for you. I guarantee you that. You know, if you want a fist fighter and go in and do what needs to be done, take care of business, and at the same time also being a great friend of opposing counsel if they want it, I'm probably your guy. One of the things I tell my lawyers is listen, have a chat with opposing counsel right in the beginning, right when you get the case. Set up the call with him or her, have a video call like this, a meeting, and I call it a chat under the bridge, as my London buddies call it. That means just a private chat kind of thing. And it's sort of like, I know we're going to fight about all this stuff, blah, 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 in all respect to you, but, you know, kind of where are we going to go on this thing? You know, this is not admissible. This is just between you and me. And what do you kind of think? And a lot of times you can get it resolved and we can be open and honest like that. And I'll also tell them, listen, if you ain't gonna tell me or do anything, you're gonna be an angry fellow like that, see ya, click. And then serve them with a boatload of discovery. Set up
That's a mean streak in you.
Set up their depositions and then see them when I'm taking the depo and say, how did that feel, man? Welcome.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially an email, and I'm generally good. I get a lot of emails, but generally good about returning emails. Secretary is great. She'll kind of eyeball things of what's going on. If there's some of significant importance, she'll tell me, you need to jump on this one. I'll say, yeah, let me know. I'll do it.
Okay, we'll put your email and your website in the show notes so that is there. So hang on with me. Thank you very much for coming on, Paul. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, superstar.